Welcome to Sports Talk with RKJ. I am your host, Steve Risser, with my co-host, Kyle Galuli. Justin D'Onofrio is in Florida this week, so it'll just be the two of us today.
On vacation.
And last night, the Celtics were eliminated from the playoffs as Giannis had a huge series, averaging over 30 points a game in this series against the Celtics. And yes, last week I sat here and said he was not a top 5 player in the NBA. I got to admit it. Giannis is a top 5 player in the NBA. So you heard it right here. Giannis is a top 5 player in the NBA and should be the MVP this year. He was outstanding in the series against the Celtics. I mean, he was, especially in games 3 and 4 on the road, scoring over 30 points in both those games, leading his team to those victories. He's really grown from last year where he lost that series in 7 games without Kyrie Irving. The Bucks lost that series in 7. They've really grown from this year. Giannis, was great in games 3 and 4. And I think the coaching change up, bringing Mike Budenholzer in, that's a huge difference. He's done a great job with that team this year. And they end up taking out the Celtics in 5 games. And for the Celtics, looking at their side of it, it really looks like Kyrie's going to opt out of that contract. This year, it just never came together for the Celtics. I mean, they were a lot of people's pick to go to the NBA Finals in the Eastern Conference, and it really just nothing really panned out this year. They really didn't come together as a team. I mean, yes, they got some talent with Jason Tatum, Al Horford.
It might be one of the most deepest NBA teams there are.
Yeah, Gordon Hayward. But the problem is, and I've said it all year, and I've said it on the show, who's their clear-cut second-best player? They really don't have one, and that's been a huge problem for the Celtics all year. And let's be honest with Kyrie. Kyrie is a great scorer and arguably a top 10 player, but he doesn't make players better around him the way guys like Harden, the way guys like Curry, the way guys like Durant, the way guys like Giannis, the way guys like Kawhi, the way guys like LeBron do. He doesn't make guys better around him the way the great players in this league do. And that's why it's very hard to win a championship with him as your best player. As your second best player, he's a great number 2, but it's hard to win a championship with Kyrie Irving as your best player. Yeah. Your thoughts, Kyle?
I mean, that was just painful. I mean, at the end of the first quarter, they were down 3 points. 3 points, whatever, 1 bucket. They were in the game. Halftime, down 13, game over. It just got worse. The thing with Kyrie Irving, it just made me just annoyed. It's like, I don't mind people having confidence. Like, if you no one had got to this level, whether it's basketball, hockey, football, tennis, badminton, even if you don't have some kind of ego and you believe in yourself. So having a little bit of an ego, I got no problem with that. But when he's saying he's a basketball genius, and that he shot, I believe in the game it was 7 of 22, and he said, "Oh yeah, I should have taken 30 shots." It's like, if you're shooting bad in a game, especially in a playoff game, the way to get out of that is not to keep shooting more, because clearly it ain't working. So it's like you think if it is broke, fix it. Like, the fix ain't shooting more. So it was not working out with Kyrie. And the problem with the team the whole year was just consistency. All year, every game, regular season, even into the playoffs. Because they inserted Gordon Hayward too quick into this lineup. Kyrie Irving, again, was kind of hit and miss throughout the year. Tatum, especially in this playoff series, Tatum was just non-existent. I don't know what happened to that guy. He was, you could argue last year, and especially in the playoffs, it was his team. And now this year, it was, and against the Bucks, it was non-existent, and the guy was MIA the whole year. Whole series. And when Kyrie shooting this game, 6 of 21, if you're supposed to be the leader of the team, and if he wasn't, the leader, show it. 6 of 21, that ain't showing it. That shows, I think at this one, he just kind of wanted out. Because, I understand the Bucks have length. You have Giannis, who's, go-go gadget arms and touching 7 feet. And you just have height everywhere. But it seems like that's never been truly an issue for Kyrie. He can adapt to anything. And so far, he hasn't done a single thing in this series. And now he's home watching playoffs with us.
And he should be. He didn't make those guys. He didn't make the Jason Tatums, the Jaylen Browns, the Al Horfords better. Or even though Horford had a pretty good series, he didn't make those guys better around him, and that's why he's watching the playoffs from home. That's a big reason he is.
And Morris, I believe he said during the regular season that his team was divided, and there's something to that extent where he's kind of pointing that out. I think it's pretty obvious.
Oh, it was divided.
Yeah.
It was divided.
You could see it. It felt like it was kind of getting fixed. Like it was on its way, to come back to getting fixed. And then all of a sudden, it broke apart.
Oh, it got completely divided. It was a completely divided team all year. It was a disjointed team. And that's why they underachieved, and that's why they lost in 5 games in the series. And that's why they could be in trouble going into the next year because they're probably going to lose Kyrie Irving. So they better hope Jason Tatum steps up and becomes that superstar. The guy they drafted number 3 overall in 2017.
And what's sad, real quick, is that people were saying like before that, with the insert of Gordon Hayward into this team, at some point. Plus, adding Kyrie. He was a team that, I think we can say should have been in the finals last year, but they kind of choked away Game 7 against the Cavs. You're adding someone of Kyrie's caliber and Hayward's caliber. The team should make the finals. Maybe this team was, it's kind of sad and odd to say this with Kyrie being that good. Maybe this team's better without him. They just play more. They play more together. But that's what got them through the playoffs.
But even without, but you look at last year in the Eastern Conference. So that was one of the weakest. The Eastern Conference was so weak last year. You looked at the Bucks; they had a terrible coach. The Sixers, Simmons and Embiid were still growing, and you look at even the Cavaliers, they almost beat. They were pretty much all LeBron James last year. So the Eastern Conference was very weak last year. That was a big reason why they got to Game 7 of that series. Yes, they play better together, but they're never going to beat Giannis in the Bucks without a superstar. They're probably never going to beat the Sixers eventually once Simmons and Embiid become those top players without a superstar.
And they need one of those big men, like a big time like an Embiid type talent, or Anthony Davis, let's say, but. Let's just say they get Anthony Davis at this point. They're not having Kyrie next year. He ain't gonna be there. So if you get Anthony Davis, okay, that's great. Who are you gonna have left? It's gonna be Anthony Davis, and you're probably gonna trade Tatum, maybe and/or Brown. Who are you gonna have left? Now you're gonna be stuck with nothing at that point with Anthony Davis. So I don't know. It's question marks everywhere. I'm still high like Brad Stevens. He's a good coach. He kind of got, he got out coached and didn't make. I won't say he didn't make proper adjustments. Well, him and his team just did not make proper adjustments, and the shots weren't falling against a team like the Bucks, who are just insanely talented on defense and just length everywhere. Against a player like Giannis, who I feel like is the MVP. That's a formula for failure, and you're going to lose. And they lost bad. After Game 1, people were thinking Celtics are winning this. You're good old Paul Pierce. The series is over. It was over. It just happened to be in the other way. It was a hot 4-0 after that, and it was not even close.
No, because the Bucks won 2 games at home, and they won Game 2 and Game 5, and they won Game 2 and 5 by over 20 points. It was definitely a blowout. It was definitely a blowout. The Bucks were definitely the better team. Giannis is clearly head and shoulders better than Kyrie Irving, and that's why the Bucks are moving on, and they'll face either the Raptors and the Sixers. But still, for the Celtics, there's a lot of question marks going into next year.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be painful.
So we'll shift over to the Western Conference last night, where the Warriors knocked off the Rockets in Game 5, 104-99. But the big story was Kevin Durant left the game with a calf injury in the third quarter. But Steph Curry, and who didn't have a good first half at all, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson stepped up in that game, and that was a big reason the Warriors won that game. With having Durant out, with having DeMarcus Cousins out, that was really big. But the Warriors were still able to win that game. And for the Rockets, Harden does what he usually does, puts up 30. Eric Gordon had a good night too. The issue with the Rockets this year, though, is Chris Paul's offensive game is really not been there. It's not been what it used to be. He's really starting to fade, and that's been a big reason why the Rockets. Why the Rockets
3 of 14.
That's why the big reason why the Rockets didn't win that game last night. James Harden is one of the top players in the league. Eric Gordon, you could argue right now Eric Gordon is better than Chris Paul right now. He's really stepped up in this series, but Chris Paul hasn't, and that's been a big reason why the Rockets are losing this series. You had a golden opportunity last night. It was a 3-point game when Kevin Durant left. That's a golden opportunity to win that game, and the Rockets blew that chance. You never know with Durant's health, they could still win the series, but the Rockets blew a huge opportunity last night.
Yeah, it's bad. Looking at that, Chris Paul 3-14 on field goals, 0-6 from the 3-point line, 11 points. 6 rebounds, 6 assists. That's good. Like to see maybe a little more assists, for Chris Paul, but it's inconsistencies again. What's hurting him? There's some times where on offense, he's been really good throughout this year, and then there's some times where it's just painful, almost painful, because like he has talent. You can see he still has talent. It's just somehow, for some reason, shots aren't falling. I mean, he might be the most impactful. That's probably the best word. Impactful player in this series, because if Chris Paul can play to what they're expecting, what a lot of people are expecting from Chris Paul, the Rockets will win, because we know Harden's getting you between about 25 to 35. He's going to get you probably about six to maybe 12 assists, during the game. Gordon's going to give you something. Hopefully, Capella could give you something in terms of points. He did have 14 rebounds, but only 6 points on 3 of 10 shooting. I mean, you're a big man. Not like he's stepping out shooting threes. So I need better, a better field goal percentage than that. Tucker's giving you hustle, points and extra possessions. We're giving him double, 13 points, 10 rebounds on 3 of 5 from the 3 and 5 of 9 from the field goal. But I think Warriors fans, for that split second of Kevin Durant hurt, they're like, oh God. Like, they're expecting, because anytime someone reaches for, that era, especially unless you can, unless they can tell where the player's kind of like signaling, oh, it's just a minor injury, I'm going to come on. Like, you're thinking torn Achilles. And if that's a torn Achilles, obviously he's done for this year. He's probably going to be done for next year. But so far, I think they said it's just a lower calf strain.
Just a calf strain, yeah. But there was a fear of a torn Achilles. And I'm telling you, if he would have been out, the Warriors would have been, in huge trouble, because he's been clearly the best player. I mean, he's averaging over 30 a game. Right now, he's probably the best player in the league.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's pretty clear to me. But, yeah, Klay Thompson, stepped up. He got 11 of 12 from the field on field goals, 5 of 10 from 3. So he's shooting 50%. So you're seeing Klay Thompson kind of getting back introduced into the offense, giving 27 points. Curry, I mean, I'd still like to see a better percentage, because 9 of 23 for field goals, that's not great. 3 of 11 by his standards is from the 3-point line is terrible. Even though 25 points, okay, that's good. 6 rebounds, good. 5 assists, not bad. The thing is, off the bench, I mean, it's just this is like painful looking at this. I mean, for the Warriors, Cook 0. He didn't play. My fault. Wrong guy. Livingston played 14 minutes, 2 points. Looney 22 minutes, 5 points. Although 9 rebounds, that is good. McKinney giving you 5 minutes, 1 point. Drepko 5 minutes, 3 points. It's like, you need to at least start giving me a little bit more, because after a while, if they're getting such high usage out of these starters, they're gonna get tired. Especially if series start going 6 to 7 games. I mean, it's gonna start wearing down. That could end up wearing you down, especially in terms of the finals. So they need to start figuring something out. At least starting in some production from someone like Livingston, who off the bench, in the past couple of years when they won, has been a big piece. But right now, Houston, they lost a golden opportunity, because I honestly think if they won game 5, it was probably going to be game over.
Oh, yeah, I think games. They could have won. They definitely could have won game 6. Yeah.
And now it's probably going to be game over in 7 in terms of
6 or 7. But the thing, Durant's health is key, though. Yeah. Houston, I still think, can win the series. Durant's health is key.
Yeah, I mean, again, then the Rockets are just going to be looking at this again as like another what-if thing, just like they did last year. I mean, let's be honest, they probably should have won last year, especially if Chris Paul's healthy.
They had a 3-2 lead.
Yeah, Rockets.
They had a 3-2 lead when Chris Paul was healthy.
Rockets are beating the Warriors, and they're probably going to end up beating the Cavs in the finals and winning the title. Again, what if? Now you're going to pile this on? Another what if. I mean, if you're the Rockets, your point. This is going to, if you end up losing the series, this game 5, you're going to be sitting on your couch just fuming the whole time.
Especially if you win Friday night. If you win Friday night, you're going to be definitely regretting that you didn't win game 5.
Yeah, you're going to somehow be mad after a win, because you should be advancing to the next round.
And probably if you win this series, you're probably going to advance to the finals. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So we'll go back to the Eastern Conference, and the Raptors lead the Sixers 3-2, and really the Sixers need Simmons and Embiid to step up. I mean, Simmons has averaged under 10 points a game this series, which is absolutely pathetic. And Embiid the last 2 games, yes, he's been sick, but he has not played well at all. Really, the one guy who's played well in this series for the Sixers has been Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler, he had a huge game 2, a big reason the Sixers won game 2. Yes, Embiid had a big game 3 in their other win, but I mean, Embiid and Simmons need to step up tonight at home. And looking at the Raptors, Kawhi Leonard has been absolutely ridiculous in this series. I mean, he's been outstanding, averaging over 30 points a game. And he was great. He dropped 39 in Game 4, a game the Raptors needed to win. I mean, that was a huge game for Kawhi Leonard. And then you look at Siakam's played pretty well too. So I mean, the Raptors right now, I think they're in really good shape. They got the best player in the series with Kawhi Leonard, but still. The Sixers have, I think, a better overall starting 5 when you look at it with Simmons, with Embiid, with Butler, and with Tobias Harris and JJ Redick. To the Raptors having Kawhi, Siakam, Lowry, Danny Green, and Marc Gasol, but Embiid and Simmons got to show it, and if they don't show it, they're going to be going home, and they're going to be going home, and they're going to be watching the playoffs from the couch, and that could be after tonight if they don't step up.
Yeah, right now the Sixers, they need to figure something out, because with Embiid not being healthy, when he's on the court, his game is kind of someone's getting hindered in some form. Because if he's in the paint, that's hindering Ben Simmons' game, because Ben Simmons' game is all drive and kick. That's his game. Obviously, he not that he can't shoot, he just doesn't, because I mean it's painful. Or sorry, I said that bad. If not that he doesn't shoot, he just can't. It's just ugly to see that guy attempt to shoot whenever he does. So you're going to hinder his game. Or then if you have Embiid step out, I mean, he can't shoot threes, he can't shoot jumpers. He's not terrible at it, but that's not his game. His game is in the post, in the paint, doing work. So you're going to hinder his game. So they got to figure that out somehow. Figure something with that out. But Harris is. I mean, he's playing solid. What, the last game he shot 50%, had 15 points. Simmons, only giving you seven points. Obviously better. You need, especially from a point guard, especially of his size, you need better than 4 assists. I mean, I need more. Rebound 7, okay. I mean, Butler, like you said, Butler is always tough. There's no punk when it comes to Butler. He's all, just putting his nose down, doing work. He's a grinder. He came into the league as a defensive stopper that turned himself into a guy that could be able to shoot in a borderline superstar. Maybe even I would probably say he's right there with being a superstar, because he's great on both sides of the court. But Redick, 1 of 6 from the field goal. Jeez, words. 1 of 3 from the 3-point line. 3 points. I mean, obviously, we need better than that. You got some, production from Scott off the bench, giving you 10 on 4 or 5 shooting. But it's a starters for the Raptors that killed them. I mean, Siakam 25, Leonard 21, Gasol 11, Lowry 19, Danny Green 17. It's hitting 5 and 7 from the 3-point line. That's kind of their version of JJ Redick, and he actually did something that game. But right now, they just don't have an answer. With Embiid just constantly being a question mark from the game at the beginning of the game. Is he going to play? Isn't he going to play? He's sick? Okay. That can't be an excuse. It's the playoffs. Man up. He also needs to get, I heard something, he needs to get, 6 treatments before the game. That's, really?
Yeah.
And you're only this, 25, 26, something in that range? Like, you're not even touching 27, 28, and you're already having this many issues. At this point, after the season, they might need to start looking into some trades.
Well, still not overreact.
I know. No, I'm saying because you don't want to. Do you want to bet on that guy constantly though? When needing that many treatments and not playing that much. I mean, an overreaction, but I mean, at least looking to see what it's looking like. But right now, it's just showing how good Kawhi is, because clearly he's the best player. The Sixers, in terms of starting 5, are they better? Yeah, I would say they're better. But the thing is, the bench didn't have to play terrible amount of minutes for the Raptors. I mean, you still got some stuff. I mean, Ibaka is giving you 10 points over 22 minutes. Van Fleet on 16 only giving you 5. What do you mean, like to see a little bit more? But the starters for the Raptors, they dominated. That's the only thing. I mean, look at the difference for for the starters for Sixers, they got 15, 13, 7, 22, 3. Yeah, gross.
And this starting lineup should never get dominated.
Yeah.
When you have a starting lineup
Not at all.
of Simmons, Embiid, Butler, Harris, and Redick, that might be the best starting five in the NBA. I mean, yes, there's no amazing player, but that starting five should not get dominated. That's pathetic. That's absolutely pathetic.
Yeah.
They should not be dominated. And that's a big reason why Brett Brown, if they don't win the series, should absolutely be fired. He's just not a good X's and O's coach at all. He should be fired. To have a starting five like that be dominated is absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah, I mean, now you're giving 25 for Siakam, 21 from Leonard, Gasol with 11, Lowry 19, Danny Green 17. I mean, you need to figure out just something, because even if let's just say they go out in Game 6, you need to at least show at least have it be a tight game, not 125-89. You're just accepting fate at that point, and you're conceding. That's terrible. You can't do that, especially when you play for a Philly team, because Philly fans, we know they will absolutely boo you off the court.
Yeah, all right. This team gets off to a slow start today. They are going to get booed. They are going to get booed. They won't win the game because now they're already down that they lost the last two games. If they get out to a slow start, they will get booed, and there will be fire Brett Brown chants at the game.
Oh, and also remember when I don't know if it was this series or maybe the last one where they were booing Simmons when he was at the free throw line, and he got mad at it. It's like, you do realize you're playing in Philly, right?
Yes.
Do you realize
yes.
Philly will boo anyone? Philly will probably boo their grandmothers if they were on the court, and doing a bad job. It's again, what are you expecting, dude? I don't understand. Welcome to Philly.
Yes, I mean that's how it is there. I mean, you ask anybody in the Eagles, even when they were winning, even coming off a championship last year, there were games where they were getting booed at home.
Yeah, I mean, they stopped. They finally won the Super Bowl, and then next year, oh, you're doing bad, boo! It's welcome to Philly.
Yes, exactly. So we'll wrap up our NBA playoff coverage today talking about the Blazers and the Nuggets. And the Nuggets have been playing really well. Joe Cooch, Murray, Millsap, they've been really, really good for this team, and they're looking like they're going to advance because they won Game 5.
Oh, yeah.
They beat the Blazers by over 20 points in Game 5. What the Blazers need someone else to step up outside of Lillard and McCollum. That team is too much about their backcourt. And that's why they can't get to the conference finals. It's the third time in 6 years they've been in the conference semifinals, and they're looking like this could be the third time they lose in that round too. I mean, yes, Kaner's got to step up. Kaner was giving them a little bit inside, but he's got to step up in the series. He hasn't been good in games 4 and Game 5.
Yeah, which he isn't though. He's not going to be able to because with that would separate his shoulder.
No.
He's only. I mean, you see, I've only seen some of the stuff. There's sometimes Jokic will literally just give him a little shoulder to the shoulder, and you could see Kaner just I mean, it's hurting him. And against Jokic, he ain't gonna do any. It's with a separated shoulder. You might as well just abandon that. At least to me, if you're the Trailblazers, you got to find something else.
No, exactly. I think this is going to be a tough series for the Trailblazers to win. I think they get eliminated tonight. I think the Nuggets move on to the conference finals. I mean, the Nuggets have done a really good job building this team around a lot of good young players. Millsap's been a piece to help, but you got building this team around Gary Harris, Jamal Murray, and Joe Cooch. Joe Cooch right now, he might be the best center. He probably is the best center in the NBA. It's between him and Embiid, but I'd say right now he's the best center in the NBA.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'd take him just literally solely based off of injury. That's the only reason. Your best ability is availability.
Yep.
Jokic is always there. That guy is just and the fact that they run their offense a lot of times through him. He's one of the primary ball handlers. And as people in this NBA that we live in now, they don't do that. It's all point guards, shooting guards. Maybe like a small forward, you have a guy like a Durant and LeBron, but like you said, they're just two. Trailblazers they're solely relying on Lillard and McCollum because that's the only consistent production that they're getting out. I mean, Collins is giving you 14. Okay, off the bench, it's good. Rodney Hood gave you 14. Seth Curry, Steph's brother, only is 3 of 10 from the field, so you need the bench to do more because right now they don't have an answer for Jokic. They literally have no one to stop him, especially after who was the guy that had that nasty injury for them at the end of the year. for the Trailblazers. I forgot what is.
It starts with a J.
Yeah, Jerkic.
Jerkic, I think.
Yeah,
Jerkic, yeah.
Yusuf, or something.
Yeah.
Sorry for butchering your name,
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
But he's probably the only thing that could have, at least slowed down, the Joker, and it's not happening. So right now, if you're not going to slow him down, you need production from other people. Now, I don't think you're going to get it from Cantor at any consistent basis because of his shoulder injury. So you're going to have to get it from the bench. I mean, in the bench, other than Collins, he shot 5 of 10. Other than that, also Rodney Hood shot 5 of 8. Out of everyone else, no one shot a great field goal percentage. I mean, Miles Leonard has a big man, 3 of 7, only 6 of them more from the 3-point line. Maybe get inside a little bit, but I mean that's me. But I mean, right now, Jokic, he's too good. He literally is just too good. And Jamal Murray, I mean, although you like to see better than 7 of 16, that guy is doing work. He's coming into his own. He's becoming good. Jokic becoming good. I think having a guy, especially someone like Millsap, who's a veteran that's been around the league, it seems like a while, and he still puts in work. He can step out and shoot threes when necessary. To have that veteran presence on a team that is on the younger side, I think that's just doing a world of good for them, especially when it comes to playoff experience. Because other than him, I don't think they have anyone that's really been to the playoffs with any consistency, unless you want to count Michael Beasley.
Yeah, that doesn't really count, no.
Not at all. But you're having, Will Barton, he's probably having a little extra juice for the series because he's, former player of the Trailblazers. Giving 10 off the bench. Although Beasley, gave you 10 off the bench. As long as he doesn't end up on Shaq and a fool every night, I'm happy with Beasley. But, they're getting something from the bench right now. Their game is consistently, it's Jokic and Murray, and what are you going to get from Millsap? Millsap gave them 24. In Game 5. So right now, Denver's rolling. Yeah, and I see them ending this in 6.
Yeah, I definitely see them ending this tonight. I mean, the way they beat the Blazers in Game 5, and the way the Blazers have played in the conference finals and in the conference semifinals in the Damian Lillard era, I definitely could see this ending tonight.
Yeah, and also real quick, ever since that 4 overtime game, it seems like even though the Trailblazers won that, it seems like they've just been tired. They've been wiped ever since that game. Even though Denver lost, and especially losing a 4 overtime game, that's heartbreaking. It seemed like they moved on. They moved on from that game. And it's like, okay, whatever, on to the next one. And ever since then, been smoking the Trailblazers.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what has happened to Portland. So we're now going to go on to the Kentucky Derby, and let me tell you, I've been watching. I've seen many Kentucky
Controversy.
Derbies, and that's by far the craziest one I've ever seen. I mean, you had Maximum Security winning the Kentucky Derby and winning it by a wide margin, and then he gets interviewed afterwards, and then you see there's a review. What was that? What they called
whatever, like the judges, I don't know. There's like 3 of them.
Yeah,
I forgot what.
They reviewed it, and then in crazy fashion, they reviewed that Maximum Security interfered with 3 other horses, and one of them being Country House, and then Country House, who was a long shot. Imagine if you had him winning the Kentucky Derby, man, you'd be getting money.
Rain.
You'd be getting money. Country House ends up winning the Kentucky Derby. And
was it 65-1?
And the funny thing about Country House is he's not even going to race in the Preakness. So there goes the ratings for horse racing. I mean, last year,
potential Triple Crown.
Yeah, last year had a Triple Crown winner, and this year, I mean, the horse is already not going to race in the Preakness. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's terrible for horse racing.
I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it's because of an injury, or I don't know what they said.
I think it's an injury, but it's terrible for horse racing because you want the Triple Crown. I mean, that's what you want for
at least the possibility
for the Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont. You want to have the Triple Crown, and now without the Triple Crown, your ratings go way down.
Oh yeah, I mean that's going to be heartbreaking, because that's especially one thing I want to see Triple Crown, because I'm not the biggest horse racing fan. I mean, I'll tune into the big ones, especially Kentucky Derby, but I want to see a possibility of a Triple Crown. But I remember when that first happened, that I'm watching the replays, because I don't know the rules like that about horse racing. I don't know the ins and outs of it. And I'm sitting there with my residential expert of horse racing, aka my mom, and she's watching that, and I'm watching showing the replay over and over again. And she said that, it should get overturned, because you can see goes from, I believe they were in lane 2, and they scooch over into a little bit in lane 4, and You know, you can see the horse. You know, the horse was a country house. I believe that was the horse that won.
Yes.
Yeah. So country house, you can see the horse was trying to avoid it, kind of moving like its head kind of like at a like this kind of angle, and then also you can see their legs almost got tangled up. If that got tangled up, that would have been a disaster because it would have been horses everywhere. You know, injuries to the horses potentially. The jockeys probably went sailing back first Mach 5 into the ground, which you could only imagine what could have happened with that. But I mean, it gets overturned. First money got changed. Insane amount. 65-1. I think they said it's the second biggest odds ever, if I'm not mistaken, that to win the Kentucky Derby. And at this point, I mean, is it controversy? Yes. Was it right call? I wouldn't say so. I mean, just again looking at it and hearing other people talk about it, it seems like the right one. You can't go from, if you're lane 2, this is the camera looking at. Okay, if you're going to lane 2, this is your lane, and then you have lane 3 and lane 4, you can't go over into 4. Stay in what's the guy, Mr. Big Baller Brand? What's his face? Whatever, I can't think of his name.
Lonzo Ball?
No, the head guy, the dad.
LeVar Ball.
LeVar Ball, there you go. As LeVar Ball said, stay in your lane. Don't go over. They did. It's unfortunate. Sorry.
Yeah, it was the right call in my opinion. I mean, you can't go into another lane and block other horses from winning the Derby. Even though it's not done intentionally, and you lost control of the horse, you can't go into another lane and do that. I think this was the right call, and I think this was the right decision.
Yeah, I mean, I wish they had a camera, like just a camera shot that you could see the whole time from when maximum security won. You could see the trainer and the family and all that just happy, and a whole time just to see it throughout, because as it goes longer, they're thinking, well, if it's going longer, they're thinking of overturning it. I was thinking that too.
Oh, yeah,
I think that any sport.
Oh, definitely. The longer it went, the more control maximum security was in.
The thing's going down. Like they're like, oh god, and then it happens. They're probably like, they're probably feeling all kinds of emotions at that point. And and you see a jockey of that ended up winning, where he all of a sudden they said, and he's just like, oh my god, because he's probably thinking. I mean, it never got. There's never a thing that got overturned for the winner. I mean, I think there was only one time, like long time ago, which like they changed the 4th and the 5th place, horses. But this has never happened before. Now it did. I mean, good luck. Good luck to you guys that bet on that horse. Because, you guys are making money. 65-1.
I know.
Insane.
You'll never see something like this at the Kentucky Derby again.
Oh, never again.
No,
because you probably just don't want to deal with it again, too.
No.
Because they were waiting. It was going for about 15 minutes.
Yeah, they had that delay and everything. You're probably upset because of the Bruins game.
Well, yeah, I was waiting. I'm like, I want to see this Bruins game. Come on, make your decision. They said, I'm like, okay, thank you. Bruins game now, please.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was crazy, but I mean, it was the right call. It was the right call.
Yep, I don't disagree.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk about a little bit of local baseball. We haven't really touched on that recently, and the Yankees still with all these injuries. You would think, you get some guys coming back. You had Gary Sanchez coming back, get Miguel Andujar coming back, but on Friday night, James Paxton goes to the DL, which results in Jonathan Loáisiga having to start a game last night, which he was absolutely terrible in. But I mean, look at the Yankees right now. Despite all the injuries, they're ahead of the Red Sox, who've been pretty much healthy throughout the year.
Yeah, pretty much.
And they're 2 games behind the Rays, who they play this weekend in Tampa. So I mean, they're not in bad shape at all, despite all the injuries. And the bullpen not performing. I mean, it's still been a good bullpen, but the bullpen hasn't performed to the level that we expected. I mean, Zach Britton hasn't had.
You're expecting an elite bullpen. Yeah, we're probably getting maybe an above average.
Yeah, we got Betances has missed time. Zach Britton hasn't been as good. Chad Green was absolutely pathetic. But they've had guys like Tommy Kahnle really step up in this bullpen. I mean, Adam Ottavino has been a really, really important and really, really good pickup. And since that blown save against the Angels, Aroldis Chapman has pitched really well. So the bullpen hasn't been as good as expected, but it's still pretty good. You look at the lineup. I mean, Luke Voit has done 10 home runs, over 30 RBIs right now. He's done a really good job stepping up, and this is and he now clearly has won that job at first base. There is no way Greg Burke be back on this team, even playing for Luke Voit at all. This is Luke Voit's job, and he should have this job.
Can I say one thing? Can I say one thing about the Greg Bird thing? Okay, so I'm in this Yankees page. I'll summarize it because otherwise we'll be here for about the rest of the show. So someone put in this Yankees chat I'm in, name like what's your favorite Yankees trade ever? And I just said joking around because I thought it'd be a funny ha he he's. Oh, the trade that gets Greg Bird out of here as a joke. And I got called a Patriots, jeez, a Yankees hater at that point. And I'm like,
what kind of Yankee fan is that?
It was this lady. I won't say her name because I'm not that kind of person. But it was this lady that was saying, "Oh, you're a hater. Whoever we got for him, you'd hate them too." And I'm like, based off of what? I literally, a guy who clearly, when he is healthy, which isn't often, doesn't perform. And then we have a guy that, Luke Voigt, who stepped in out of nowhere last year and did insane. And so far, he kind of struggled a little bit at the beginning, but he's picked it up, and he's gonna be doing work there. Like, Greg Bird doesn't do a single thing. The only thing that he can do good at, when playing first is he can stretch a little bit. He can stretch like Freddie Freeman. The problem is it's maybe 50-50 if he actually catches the ball. So I got called a Yankees hater for that and all that. But, we'll move on from that. But I think the injury so far, because like you said, 2 games behind Tampa right now. 21-15 the Yankees are right now. Really, with this roster they've had, because of all the, these injuries that are just absolutely absurd at this point, they really should be maybe where the possibly in between where the Red Sox and Blue Jays are right now. They should be under 500 with this team. And the fact that they're staying afloat. And right now, I mean, if they can kind of continue this pace, and you get Severino back, Hicks, Frazier, Judge, Stanton. St. just kind of starts coming back, more into form, hopefully. Andujar starts, shaking the rust off. Paxton when he comes back. But Kansas. This team should be right there in the running for a possible World Series. Now, if anyone else gets hurt at this point, I don't know what to say. I swear to God, there's some Red Sox fans somewhere with a Yankees voodoo doll poking every single player, because I don't think I've ever seen in any sport, baseball, hockey, football, basketball, a team this talented where almost, if not every star player, has gotten hurt for at least some decent length of time. It is just insane. And by the way, real quick, I'm looking at the standings. This has literally nothing to do with the Yankees, but this shocks me. How do the Reds have a plus 20 run differential and are 15-22? I don't understand.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
I don't understand how it's possible. Sorry, I saw that and I'm just like mind boggled. So, sorry. Get back to
that makes no sense. I think bad bullpen. That's why. Yep, bad bullpen. That's probably why. Yep.
That is impressive in all kinds of ways. But right now, the Yankees, they're showing the one thing they're showing with this is when all these players come, like all their regular starters come back, is maybe stop, even though they had the ability to hit the long ball on like essentially every pitch. Maybe stop attempting it. Start just trying to hit a single, trying to hit a double. Because that's essentially what these Yankees are doing. They're not playing long ball the whole time. They're playing. I wouldn't say they're not playing like the Royals when they won that World Series. They're not playing that, but they're kind of found a little bit of a middle ground, which is working. That's what they need to start doing, because the problem with the Yankees started this year before everyone got hurt, and last year is you could have a runner on third base with maybe no outs, 1 out. You never got that runner home, or you never advanced the runner from second to third when you easily just hit it to the right side and they'll move him over. That's what they need to start doing. But right now, I like what the spot the Yankees are in, and their formula right now of small-ish ball that they're playing. And right now, although with all the injuries, I kind of like the spot the Yankees are in.
Yeah, how about Gio Urshela? I mean, he had that huge home run on Tuesday night. I mean, you look at the Mariners; they definitely miss Edwin Diaz, but huge home run on Tuesday night for Urshela. He's really stepped up, hitting over 300.
When he makes plays, I understand. Especially, good old Joe Aguirre does not like when people start saying all this, like how Andujar just struggles on defense. He does. When you see Gio Urshela, playing third base, is he the world's greatest third baseman ever? Oh, no, not yet. But he's a good defensive third baseman. Some of these plays that he makes, and then you see, like, I think it was the throw maybe about 3 to 4 weeks ago at this point. He catches the ball, deep in third, and he goes to throw it, and he's slipping, falling back, and he still makes a very accurate, perfect throw. It's like, and you see Andujar, who has talent at batting, but you see him some of the simple things with third base. It's like, dude, like, come on, like. why aren't these problems starting to get fixed? It just seems like they're not. I don't understand. Like, clearly that's what you need to work on. I don't understand why that wasn't worked on. Or maybe if it was worked on in the offseason, why it isn't sticking? Why is it isn't getting better? Same thing with Sanchez. You need to start getting better in some of those other areas. Like, I can't have you just be a one-dimensional player unless you're hitting 80-something home runs a year, which they ain't. But right now, if you get these guys with all this influx of talent, the only problem is once you start getting everyone back, who's getting sent down? That's what you got to start figuring out. You got to keep Gio because he's a very good defensive baseman. You might need that, at times. LeMahieu's doing good. Frazier, for love of God, just on a consistent basis, can we start him over Brent Gardner? I'm tired. No Brent Gardner. No. You need to have Aaron Hicks in there. He's good. Obviously, we all know Judge is going to be in right field. We all know that. We can just say that.
Stanton will be the DH.
Stanton will be DH, maybe stepping in occasionally in the field, but ain't going to be often. So you have pieces. You got to start putting them in the right spot, which is what's going to be a big possible issue for Boone, is how are we going to have all these pieces and fit them right, and you got to try to keep as many people happy as you possibly can, because you ain't going to be keeping everyone happy.
Not at all. So we look at this weekend series, big series with the Rays. Yankees are behind them by 2 games, and they got a really good pitching matchup Friday night with surprising too. Domingo Germán 6-1 with a 2.35 ERA going up against Tyler Glasnow 6, and right now who is the AL Cy Young Award winner in my opinion, 6-0 with a 1.47 ERA. So this should be a really, really good pitching matchup. On Saturday we got CC Sabathia and Blake Snell. Sunday Tanaka against the Rays haven't decided on a starter, which will probably be an opener.
Yeah, I mean, right now, let's start with Tanaka. Like 3.77 ERA. Obviously a little better, but it's not the worst we've ever seen in the world. But you can see that better. I do like that. It seems like since CC's kind of set back, that CC has adds that that juice to the team. Like he's just that veteran guy that everyone just loves on the team. No one has a single issue with the guy. He's 2-1 since he's excuse me, sorry about that. Since he's come back, which it's good, especially for someone didn't have the best of seasons last year. Domingo Germán, I mean, good lord, was anyone expecting this guy to be 6-1 with a 2.35 ERA? I wasn't expecting that at all. And was anyone from the in the Rays organization expecting Glasnow to go 6-0 with a 1.47? I don't think anyone was thinking that. So this might be the what's the right word? Maybe the most surprising pitchers duel maybe this season that we're going to be seeing. But it's going to be a big series, because if you want to start getting establishing momentum and possibly getting momentum for when these injured players and stars come back, you need to at least get 2 out of these 3 wins minimum, especially tonight with the Mariners. Please come back off of that in discussing 10-1 performance, especially with J.A. Happ. J.A. Happ 1-3 with almost a 5 ERA, especially after last year where he was maybe one of the best pitchers for the Yankees last year once he got here, and you're giving us 1-3 with almost a 5 ERA.
He struggled early, got a little bit better, but he's continuing to struggle. Yeah, he needs to get better. Yeah.
I wonder what changed, because literally night and day from when they got him to now. It's
I know.
Jekyll and Hyde.
I know. And of course, Joe Aguirre will say, "Oh, he's pitched a little bit better recently." But yes, for the overall season, he hasn't pitched well.
A little better. Yeah. Okay, I needed to see a lot better.
Yes, I agree there. So we'll talk about the Red Sox right now. 19-19. They've been hot. They've won 8 out of their last 10. Chris Sale has found his form. He's pitched well the last 2 games. Mookie Betts has started to pick it up a little bit. Obviously, J.D. Martinez has had a good year. And the issue with this team, though, is they're back into their rotation and their bullpen. Is Brazier going to be a reliable closer? He blew a save last week against the White Sox. We also saw him blow that save against the Yankees earlier in the year. Is he going to be a reliable closer? And that's the big issue with this team right now. Their offense hasn't been as good. Their starting rotation has been shaky. And do they have a reliable closer? But even though they've won 8 of 10, there's still definitely question marks with this team.
Oh, yeah. I mean, definitely. This offense could be right up there with some of the best in all baseball. And I was saying this from the get-go. The struggle of this team could be the back half, of the rotation, and also the bullpen going, because last year the struggle for the team mainly was the bullpen getting up to Craig Kimbrell. Now you don't have Craig Kimbrell. He's still unsigned unless something happened that I don't know about. So your bullpen didn't do anything great to fix it. So it's kind of still roughly the same thing, maybe a touch improved, but it's not like it's, head and shoulders better. So right now with the Red Sox, you're struggling right now. I mean, we're not overall wise, because obviously you've been hot, of recently. But you're 19 of 19. You really haven't had that many injuries. The fact that the Yankees are above you with all these injuries that they've had is just, that's disgusting. There's no way that, that this should happen. You should be, if you're the Red Sox, you should be right up there with the Rays with their record, or possibly even better. No, they're finally over the, in the positive for the run differential. Finally. Yep. They're not at +1, so, cough, clap, you're finally there. But right now, they need to start fixing them, because come, later in the season, possibly, if a wild card game, if they have to play, play in it, or into, the rest of the playoffs, if they make it that far, a bullpen is going to kill you, because that's today's game.
Yes.
You could have the world's greatest starter.
And Chris Sale does not go far in games. He will not go far in games in the postseason. Yeah. That's why having the Red Sox bullpen be a big weakness is really going to hurt them if they want to defend their championship.
That's going to be their downfall this year, is that bullpen and the closer.
Yeah, absolutely. Downfall. Yeah, yes. So we'll wrap up our baseball talk, talking a little bit about the Mets. And the Mets should be so thankful for Peter Alonso, because without Peter Alonso, this team would be absolutely him and Edwin Diaz, this team would be absolutely terrible. Edwin Diaz has saved 9 out of their 17 wins, has an ERA at, I think, 2.45. And Peter Alonso, 11 home runs, 31 RBIs, had a huge 2-run homer in Tuesday night's win over the Padres. Because really outside of that, Syndergaard's had a terrible start. He's been terrible this year. DeGrom hasn't been as good. He's not been pitching to that Cy Young level.
Somewhere Joe's like, I told you so.
Of course, he's already texted me saying that too. He's already texted me saying DeGrom is not that great. He's already texted me about that too. Yeah, their starting rotation hasn't been as good as expected, and really the bridge to Diaz. You got Familia now on the DL. The bridge to Edwin Diaz hasn't been as good as expected. Jeff McNeil's hit for average pretty well, but guys like Cano, guys like Conforto, those guys need to step up, and they should be really thankful for Peter Alonso, because if they didn't have Peter Alonso, this team would be right there with the Marlins in the cellar. They'd be worse than the Nationals right now.
Ooh, yeah, you were damn. I'm looking at it now. The Marlins have a negative 76 run differential. Good Lord, that is just painful. But with the Mets right now, I wonder if it's going to be a similar thing to how it was last year. Because last year, didn't they start?
They started 11-1 last year. Yeah.
People think, wow, this team's really good, and then down the tubes. Now, are you kind of, or I wonder if Mets fans are kind of having some more flashbacks to that, because if you get, Edwin Diaz, that guy is so good. 24, maybe 25 years old? The guy, you could maybe argue, is one of the best, if not the best, closers in the league. So he should just keep getting better. You have Syndergaard, who's talented. You have DeGrom, who's talented, coming off of a Cy Young, year where he just had an insanely good ERA. Maybe they're just hoping that they can kind of hang on until Cespedes comes back. At least not just be completely, Marlin-esque. And hopefully Cespedes can step it up. That's the only thing I could really think of at this point. Because it's not like, unless they make a big trade, the Calvary ain't coming other than Cespedes. As far as I know. No, not at all. And you thought that going into this year that their rotation would be better than it was. That's been the problem. Their offense, yeah. You thought their offense was going to be their weakness. But you thought their rotation, even their bullpen, would be better than it is, and it hasn't been, and that's why the Mets are 17-20. Peter Alonso is the NL Rookie of the Year and probably will end up winning NL Rookie of the Year. But the problem is, no one in that lineup, no one else outside of him in the lineup is stepping up recently, and that's why this team has really struggled. And the way this division's looking right now, it looks like Philly could be running away with this division. Yeah, because I'm looking at this division now, the NL East. Philly's 21-15. Then you have every other team, the Braves, the Mets, the Nationals, the Marlins, they're all under 500. Although Atlanta's only one game under 500. So, you got to keep somewhat even close with them, because obviously, if we know the Phillies, they got better over this, the offseason. They got GT Realmuto. They got Bryce Harper with, that monster contract. So, you got to keep up with them to at least some extent, because you don't want to completely lose and have to solely hope for the wild card, because it's a one-game wild card. One game in any postseason, especially baseball. One home run, one big hit, that changes the game. And if you're in a one-game wild card, there goes your season. So you got to keep it at least in striking distance if you're the Mets.
Exactly. So before we wrap up the show with the NHL playoffs, we'll talk a little bit of moves in the NFL. I mean, some good players just got signed who weren't signed during the free agency period got signed. We'll start with Zach Brown from the Eagles. This is a really, really underrated linebacker for the Eagles. I mean, he can cover.
It's talent.
He's pretty good. He can stop the run too. He could tackle. He's a talented player. He got hurt in Tennessee, which hurt him, and then he had 2 pretty good years in Washington. The problem is he questioned the coaching staff in Washington, and that was a big reason.
I think everyone did.
I know that's the problem. Yeah, that's a big reason why they got rid of him. So, I mean, this is definitely a good pickup, good addition for the Eagles. Definitely improves their linebacking core, improves a really, really good front seven.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm the Eagles, I'm liking that because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they lost Jordan Hicks, right?
They did lose Jordan Hicks to the Cardinals. Yeah, he signed with Arizona.
So you replace Zach Brown, who has some pretty good speed in him, and it gives you someone that can help that linebacking core out because that team. I think the big questions for that team are so far. Is Carson Wentz's his health? Is he going to stay healthy? Because if he isn't, now you'll no longer have the Lord and Savior Nick Foles, which painful. But you don't have him anymore. So if he gets hurt, you guys are done. No chance. Is that how are the corners going to play? Because it was a little bit of a struggle.
Very shaky last year.
Yeah, a little bit of a struggle. And now maybe the linebacking core now, especially with since they lost Hicks, until now linebacking core is going to be a little bit of a struggle. Now you got Zach Brown. Is he going to make it all world? I would lean towards no, but is it going to make it better? Absolutely.
And for 1 year, $3 million, that's all you need.
That's a steal at that point. And especially in that division, we have the Cowboys, who I feel like are going to be a good team. Washington's going to be terrible.
I wouldn't say terrible. I think their defense has potential to be pretty good.
But I
think they're 6-7
I just don't have
faith. I think they're a little bit better than the Giants.
Yeah, I just don't have faith for this year. But next couple seasons maybe. But then Giants, we all know it's the Giants. It's gonna be a little bit of Strugglesville this year. So you need to have something because if you're the Eagles, you want to compete. I mean, you're right there potentially make another Super Bowl run. Off of that unfortunate interception against the Saints. So right now, that's a big pickup for them. If I'm an Eagles fan, I would love that steal right there.
Also, the Seahawks yesterday signed Ziggy Ansah, and this is a player that has really been injury prone over the last couple of years. Hasn't played a full season since 2015. I mean, and there's a big reason the Lions didn't re-sign him to a long-term deal. The Seahawks get him on a 1-year deal. And I think this is, if he could stay healthy, this is I mean, obviously he's not going to replace Frank Clark, but this is a decent addition with him and L.J. Collier, who they drafted, and to get some sort of pressure on the quarterback and help this defense with Bobby Wagner in this front seven. So I mean, yeah, this is it's a decent move, 1 year. So it's not like it's a huge risk making this move.
Yeah, it's one of those classic things of low risk, high reward because this guy might be one of the more just pure physically gifted and talented pass rushers. It's just it's never kind of fully come together, and then obviously injuries at any position, especially a defense, a pass rusher where you're just hitting bodies all day, every day. Excuse me. That's gonna run the risk of making small injuries into big injuries and big injuries into possible career-ending injuries or career-shortening injuries. So they need to hope that he can step up because you lost Clark. That guy's a great pass rusher. You have him. You just drafted, was it L.J. Collier at TCU?
TCU, yep.
So, you're hoping they can give you something because you need to, especially with was it Jordan Reed or there was the defensive tackle that gave you
Jaron Reed.
Yeah, Jaron Reed. He gave you some pretty good work last year, in terms of sacks. So you're kind of hoping you can maybe get something like that, plus adding, L.J. Collier from TCU. So you're hoping that you can start getting some pass rush because when they were, had that Legion of Boom defense, obviously we all know the secondary they were insanely good. You had some pretty good pass rush going on there. So you're kind of hoping that's you can start getting back to that pass rush of, your Super Bowl years.
Yeah, so really the one final domino to fall is going to be Ndamukong Suh. It's going to be interesting to see where he ends up.
I'm surprised that no one's, at least I haven't heard of anyone even offering that man.
No, the problem
is
through 16 weeks last year, he had a below average season, and teams aren't going to pay money to have a below average season. Yes, he turned it on in the playoffs, but it's a 16 game season, and you got to play hard for 16 games. You can't just coast for 16 and then play hard for the 3 playoff games. That's not how it works in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm really wondering if. I mean, I'll even throw the Patriots out there. I mean, depending on the money, because obviously it's all going to be about money. Because essentially it's probably be a 1 year deal. If it's something, let's just say something like the Zach Brown contract, let's just say even touching maybe $5 to $6 million, if I'm a Patriots fan, I would at least like to see it, try it out. I mean, we all know if he ain't given effort, Belichick's going to get rid of him quick, fast, and in a hurry. So it's not like he's going to have Sue stick around doing nothing. So I would be interested to see that, and just interested to see where he is, period, because he might be one of the most physically gifted defensive tackles that we've probably seen in the 2000s. I mean, we're probably right up there, I'd probably say, a touch below Donald just in terms of pure physical athletic ability. But the guy's ultra strong. He does not care at all. He literally will stomp you out. I mean, we've seen it happen multiple times. The dude's nasty. He's okay against the pass, but he is just dominant against the run. I believe if it was him, if I'm not mistaken, or it was either him or Dante Fowler in the Super Bowl, clotheslined Sony Michel. I mean, the guy is good against the run, so someone's going to pick him. There's no way Ndamukong Suh's not touching the team. We all know that. It just depends on how much money is someone going to offer him and how much is his pride going to get in his way of wanting more.
Exactly. So we're going to wrap up the show talking about the conference finals in the NHL playoffs, and they begin tonight with the old Whalers, the Carolina Hurricanes, facing the Bruins. And what's your take on this series, Kyle? I mean, the Hurricanes are a little bit of an underdog here. Bruins probably the favorite in this series. What's your take on this series, Kyle?
I mean, as a Bruins fan, I think they should win this because they have Marchand, Pastrnak, and Bergeron, Krejci, especially like that's kind of their main power play, which in the regular season was a strong point. No, Pasternak's starting to step up his game a little bit, or I still need to see you fully improve. I think they'll probably end up winning this. If I had to say, probably in 6, because the one issue that the Hurricanes could have, and it's kind of what happened with the Blue Jackets when they ended up playing the Bruins in Game 1, was that they kind of were sleeping a little bit. Just for the sole fact you had a 4-0 series, so you've had to wait for obviously maybe I don't know, a week or so for it to be done. So the Blue Jackets in the first period kind of came out a little slow, and they had to, they were struggling a little. It ended up being overtime, but I think, if you're the Hurricanes, you can't have the possible slowdown because the Boston crowd, especially with the Bruins, they get that one goal. They go up 1-0. That crowd is going to be loud. It's going to be momentum. Marchand's going to be Marchand. Pasternak's going to be shooting it in there. Bergeron and Krejci are, the ideal veteran guy you'd love to have on your team. Fortunately, Charlie McAvoy did get suspended because of that hit, which to me should have either been a 4-minute or even a game misconduct penalty. So in a way, that's kind of a little bit of a makeup for that. In my eyes, the rest messing it up. But so could that potentially hurt you? Yes, because he is talented, young, only 20 years old, which is funny because you have a 20-year-old defenseman playing along with, I believe, 42 years old. I think that's what Char is, at least double his age, which is, it's just, I don't know if there's been a bigger difference in terms of defenseman pair, but Tuukka Rask has stepped up, and right now I'm liking the Bruins' chances, if I had to say, to go, in advance to the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, they have a very good chance to win this series, definitely. So the other series, the Western Conference Series, what's your thoughts on this as the Sharks take on the Blues, both winning Game 7s the last 2 nights? What's your take on these two teams?
I mean, right now, it's gonna be good. I feel like it's gonna be a very good series. I mean, the Sharks right now. It just seemed like when Pavelski came back from that, in Game 7 from that nasty injury he suffered against Vegas, the crowd was juiced up. He ended up scoring the first goal in Game 7, so that crowd was just, hyped. There was energy all over the building, and I mean, I would say. Again, I could see this probably going 6 or 7. I'd probably be leaning more towards 7 because I just think right now the Sharks they're riding off of that high of the last game, and I just think with Pavelski, Joe Thornton, who has just that ugly looking hockey beard, which I mean it's the hockey beards, I understand that, but that is just painful, very painful to see because it's almost bordering on the line of looking like a homeless man. I mean, I love you, Joe Thornton, when you were at the Bruins, but please, for the love of God, just shave that when you're done playing. But I think with him, Pavelski, you have Thomas, Hertl back there, you have Carlson. I think right now, I just think the Sharks right now are too talented, and I think it could end up being the Sharks versus the Bruins in the Stanley Cup Finals, and it'd be very, very interesting, especially with Joe Thornton.
I know that's gonna be so interesting. That's
gonna be very cool to see that have a overrun, because they traded him a while ago. I'm trying to think of the exact year.
Maybe like 07, I think.
Maybe, yeah. It was a couple years before they had their Stanley Cup run, so it's gonna be a while to see the reception he's gonna get, because he's not gonna get booed. I don't think, but I think both series are gonna go good. I think it's gonna be no less than 6 games in either series. I think Sharks will end up winning this in 7, and I think Bruins will end up winning it in 6. And I wonder, with all these games that the Sharks play or have played and will play, how much how much is energy going to be an issue? His stamina going to be an issue potentially going further? But right now, I think we're going to have 2 very, very good series for the conference finals.
It really looks that way. So that's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with RKJ. For my co-host Chicago Galuli, I'm Steve Risser. Justin Ralph will be back next week as we talk more NBA and NHL playoffs and baseball and also the NBA draft lottery. So have a great weekend, everybody.